This week's episode is brought to you by Dainty Paws Pet Accessories. Want your pet to stand out in style? At Dainty Paws, they create handcrafted, high-quality beaded collars and leashes designed to add a touch of charm to every furry friend. Made with love, inspired by elegance, and built for comfort because your pet deserves the best. Shop now and give your pet the dainty look they deserve. You can use our code SUDT10 to save 10% on your purchase today. Check the description in today's podcast episode to click the link and shop now. Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, the podcast where pet parents, pet guardians, and pet professionals come together to dive into real issues in dog parenting. From controversial training methods to sensitive health topics, we're getting raw and real about what it means to care for our canine companions. Join us every Wednesday for unfiltered conversations, expert insights, and personal stories that will make you laugh, cry, and grow as a pet parent. No topic is off limits and no question goes unanswered. You won't get one perspective here. You'll get them all because every dog is different and every human is too. You can follow along on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Straight Up Dog Talk or by visiting www.straightupdogtalk.com. Tune in from any of your favorite podcast platforms. Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk. I'm Em, and we are back again this week with another amazing guest. This week we have Diana from Dainty Paws. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with Dainty Paws. If you're not, they are beaded necklaces for your dogs that are absolutely adorable. They also support some pretty amazing causes. So welcome, Diana, and how are you today?
I am great. Beautiful Saturday morning, so I can't complain.
Yes, beautiful. Such a weird winter we are having here in Iowa. It's maybe 50 something degrees outside right now,
wow.
Which is very strange for Iowa. We usually have snow and cold right now, so I cannot complain either about this interesting year that we're having weather-wise. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what Dainty Paws is, how it got started, and just a little bit about you yourself as a person.
Yeah. So if I start at the beginning, I had twin boys in 2017. I stopped working and my goal was to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of my children. Moving forward a couple years, I was very bored and I was always a very, very creative person. So the first thing I started to do was beaded jewelry with semi-precious gemstones. And I did that for about a year and a half and it was called Loops and Stones. I would do a lot of local markets and so forth. And started thinking, I looked at my elder cat, which she's no longer with me, Allie. She passed away 2 years ago. And I'm like, you know what? I need to make some type of bling for my cat. I searched around and all of this is self-taught. So I never had anyone teach me how to do any of the product that I make. It's just basically teaching myself and watching some videos on YouTube, as a lot of us do. And I've crafted these beautiful collars and necklaces. And she was my inspiration. I made a small collection and I took it with me to my market that I was doing here locally in Florida. And I sold out. And I thought, you know what? This is what I need to be doing. So if you move forward to 2023, that's when I created Dainty Paws as an LLC. Because Loops and Stones doesn't really come together as a pet brand. And I really wanted to make a name that was cute, but also catchy so people would know what it is. And I have pet accessories in my name as well. I was still making that product with Loops and Stones, and I was in about 3 stores in 2022 locally. So what I did was I went out to a local mom and pop shop. I took product samples and asked them if they wanted to consign my product because my goal was really to get my product out there. I don't have the knowledge or the know-how of really how to get it out online besides social media because it takes a lot of work when you're just one person. And I did a lot of cold calling. By the time I ended 2023, after I switched over to Dainty Paws, I was in about 10 stores nationwide. And by the time 2024 started, from the help of some of my amazing ambassadors that I have online, which I love them all very much. I treat them like they work for me. So I'm always giving them perks. I have to because it's like a dream of mine to have Dainty Paws become something big to where I leave something for my children. It's something I have a strong passion for. And initially, the product that I was making was all out of silicone. And a lot of people are familiar with those. They see them. Other people make them. I'm not the only one all over the world, but they can use different materials. So initially, my first main focus was just the silicone because they're non-toxic. The beads are actually made of the silicone used for baby teethers. It's the exact same beads, basically. I wanted something that was safe. So if for any reason a dog or cat were chewing on it, they wouldn't get sick. It would just come out naturally eventually.
That's always good. As a vet tech, I will say that's always good. We like it when it just pops out the other end without doing any damage or causing anybody to get sick.
By the end of 2024, with the help of some of the ambassadors that I built relationships with, some of them are in the industries where they work with pet brands as well. And they have great clients who would say, do you know any other companies that might be selling unique product? I've gotten into a store in Bermuda, which is Boats and Barks, and I've been with them now for almost 2 years, which was very exciting. I also am in a store in Australia, so that was exciting. Also, just from going wholesale this year and really pushing the wholesale because that's my main focus. I also have product in Hawaii, and all my other stores are here in the US, and also I have a few in Canada. And I would love to branch out more in Canada, not only because that's where I'm from Toronto. I feel this connection, like they have to have my product, but it's just really exciting to know that now when I finish the year, I was in 40 plus stores pretty much worldwide. And that was just me by myself doing everything. I don't have any other employees. It's working hard and just putting my foot forward and focusing on what I want Dainty Paws to be, which is a brand that people know.
That's really cool. And Bermuda, what a random but very cool place to end up having your product be. I discovered you through Pretty Girl Pippa, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but her mom, Kaylin, is just such a sweet soul. And I know that her foster dogs are all benefiting from Pippa's wonderful collection of things. And
she's amazing.
She is. She's such a sweet person and just the biggest heart. And Pippa, she was such a deserving dog of that loving home. And just to be able to watch her thrive through all of the hardships of cancer and really feel safe and comfortable at the end of her life is such a beautiful gift to give a dog. And you guys have a memorial necklace for her. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, what happened was this necklace was created because, like I had stated earlier, I like to have all my ambassadors really inclusive with the brand. I don't want it to be where you're an ambassador, you post stuff, and I don't interact with you. That's not how I am as a person. I talk with my ambassadors every single day. I know them like they're my best friend. I do a lot of contests and giveaways, so they have ways of getting free product as well, not just with their discount. And Kaylin, of course, Pippa, the model that she was always rocking all those collars and styles, and she won every contest literally with flying colors. And one of those was to design her very own collar. And that's how the Pippa collar came to be. And I've kept it in my collection. I will never get rid of the Pippa collar. When she passed away, I spoke to Kaylin because I know she works with Barks a lot, fostering. And I wanted to do something to give back because even though I didn't know Pippa, I felt like she was a part of me because she was the sweetest pup. And I always wanted to do things to help, even when I heard her story. When she passed away, I asked Kaylin if I could do a male version of it. And that's when I asked her to talk to Barks and see if we can sell the Pippa collar in male and female version. And then a portion of the proceeds I want to donate to Barks. So once I have a certain amount, I'll send it over to them. It's in her memory. And I mean, if you look at my brand ambassador, she'll always be there. I know I just launched a new collection and I was showing all my ambassadors because we've grown so much in the last couple months with the ambassadors. I have over 27, 28 of them now.
Oh
and I have her in there. And she was so grateful. You know, she's like, wow, you still kept her in there. And I'm like, I'm never, ever going to take her out. She'll always be a part of the brand, no matter what.
That is so cool. And what an amazing way to give back to somebody that, one, really represented your brand well, but also to her community because she does volunteer for Barks and she does foster other dogs and she's really active in that whole rescue community, which I told her from the beginning after Pippa passed, I said, I don't know how you are doing this because I would just be a mess after losing my dog.
Look at me.
Yeah, I mean, we're both crying because of Pippa right now. But even in her interview, she said something that really surprised me, which was she had already made peace with the fact that she knew that she had limited time with her.
Yeah.
And she knew that it would be hard when she lost her, but that would just give her the ability to help another dog. And what a beautiful way to look at it, because I think all of us who have dogs or work with dogs, we're a little bit obsessed with them, right? We love them so much. And losing them is the last thing in the world we want to think about. But it is going to come to that point because that's unfortunately how life works.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's so beautiful that everything that she does in memory of Pippa. And this one's for Pippa. And I'm going to save another one for Pippa. And I'm going to get another one a home. And I know that she'll probably eventually adopt another one when she's ready. That takes time. And I'm sure that dog will be just as special.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Probably just as good of a model.
He starts them off right away. So
yeah, she does. She does. So tell us a little bit about your collections. Do they have a theme? Do they have multiple necklaces in each collection? Do you do only the jewelry, or do you have other accessories and things that you sell as well? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So initially when I started, it was just the necklaces. If you look at a lot of my older posts, I used to make these wooden beads that were a paw with my logo in the middle because I wanted something with my logo on the necklace. So I bought a laser engraver and taught myself how to use it. So I was making hundreds and hundreds of paws to use as the finishing piece for all these necklaces. And then one of my ambassadors said, my cat is nipping at the wood. And honestly, that was the only thing I had to hear to change that aspect of the necklace. So I invested at that point in a silicone mold with a company. And I had the paws made with my name on them. So everything is now silicone. The last thing I need is a dog or cat ingesting wood. That wouldn't be good. I know it looks pretty, but I got rid of that. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try the collars. So the collars was a lot of trial and error, but I have Maple now, which is a pity, and she loves to pull. So she is the perfect tester for everything that I make because she's 70 pounds and she pulls a lot. The collars are collars that you can attach your leash and walk your pet with. They're made with vinyl coated stainless steel aircraft wire, and they can handle about 265 pounds of pulling. Completely waterproof, super strong, not going to go anywhere. I will say I'm more inclined to focus more on the collars now, just because with the necklaces, what people don't know is if you have a home that has multiple pets, they're going to rough play. They're going to nip at each other's necks, and that's going to snap because it's just a cord. It's a string, like a stretchy string, but it's a string. It's good for, I always say, small animals, cats, little dogs who don't do all that crazy stuff that my Maple does. I'm always trying to do new things because coming from the retail background, I was in retail for over 20 years as a district manager. I understand that keeping product fresh and having new things come out is important. And for me, I don't just like to release a new color. I like to do collections. Maybe it's a little bit weird, but that's just my thing. And I've come up with a few collections. The one that I had most recently launched was called Vintage Glam. And I'll be honest, this came to me. People are going to think I'm crazy, but I don't sleep that great. And I wake up at 5:00 and that's when I get my best ideas sometimes. And I was putting a style together. And when I was done with it, I'm like, this is absolutely beautiful. I have never seen anything like this with the florals and the tones of the peach and the pearls. And I'm like, I could do a vintage collection. And then I could do one for each era. So I started researching about the 1930s, 1940s. I researched about the colors from those eras. And I designed a collar for each year. So 1930s, 40s, 50s. And then it didn't stop there. I was like, you know what? I need to buy some outfits from those eras and match them up. And I reached out to an ambassador of mine who has a gorgeous greyhound called Jordy, because I knew from back in the day, greyhounds and standard poodles were the main thing. I also knew someone on social media that had a standard poodle that was stunning. So I reached out to them and I'm like, I want to do this photo shoot in Fort DeSoto that we have here in the park. They have tanks and all this that people can walk through. And I'm going to supply all the clothes. Just bring the dogs. I'll have all the merch and let's go do a photo shoot. And that's how the Vintage Glam came to be. So if you go to my website or even on my social media, you'll see the full collection. And it is amazing with pearl beaded leashes, and everything is representative to each era perfectly. And I absolutely love it.
That is so cool. I have not seen that collection yet. I'm going to have to go check it out. That is really, really cool. I love that you tied in something old with something new and then made an entire thing out of it. I think that is so cool. That's what I love creatives, right? Because we just come up with these weird ideas and then we make them into something that's functional or decorative or special that makes our pet's personality just pop that much more. That's really cool. We definitely need to have a conversation too, because I would love for you to do something for the podcast to design or colors, and because Fitz is really good at modeling. We have our harness and our leash and everything that has the logo and all that stuff on it. We had beaded necklace made by Bow Bow Ties, which is adorable. It's a girl that donates half of her earnings to shelters. Okay. And she's been doing it for a couple of years and she's raised like $6,000 for shelters.
Wow, that's
She
amazing.
started when she was 9 and she's 12 now. So it's just a really cool story there too. But I think that you're doing the same thing, right? You're giving back in areas too. You're giving back to your ambassadors. You're giving back to rescues, which we'll get into that here in a second. But I just think it's so cool because this is one of those areas that I love to support is the small business. I love that there are so many of us out there just working our butts off. Like you said earlier, it's just you. It's the same for me. With the podcast, it's just me. I do everything with the podcast. And people don't realize that behind the scenes of a small business, there's a lot of stuff. With the podcast, it's recording the episodes and editing the episodes and writing all the descriptions for the episodes and then uploading and scheduling and all that stuff. But with a small business like yours, you have to string the necklaces, you have to purchase the product, you have to ship everything out, you have to package everything. Mm-hmm. There's all these little details. Honestly, I think a lot of times what people don't realize is that we are like real life superheroes because we're doing the job of many people by ourselves.
It's a lot of work.
So insane.
I've had people ask me, that's why I did that little trivia. I'm not sure if you saw that I was doing on Instagram to see if people really knew much about me because it's not the first time I've put it out there. And a lot of people say, wow, I can't believe after they see the answer, you're doing this all by yourself. And I'm like, you know what? Back in October, I flew my mom in from Toronto to come and help me because I had so many wholesale orders. My hands can only take so much. And it was getting to the point where I hadn't found a pneumatic crimp machine that had the tensile strength strong enough for the wire, that the wire wouldn't slide out. I'm doing everything manually with a hydraulic crimp. Doing that motion all the time, my hands were getting numb at night and they were falling asleep. And I'm like, oh no, something bad is going to happen to me in the future, like carpal tunnel or whatever. I went through, and I'm not joking, 6 different products, ordering back and forth, huge machines that crimp everything. And now I just have to hold it and it has a foot pedal. So I'm like, thank you, because I finally found one. It was worth the money. I'm just thankful to that aspect because it is a lot of work. And like you said, a lot of people don't realize I love what I do. I won't complain one day if I have too many orders or whatever it may be. My whole thing is I want to make the product perfectly. So I'm a little bit of a stickler, and my mom knows on how things have to be. She's like, you better look at this before you do that. Everything has to be perfect. I'm not a person who will say, hey, it's going to take 2 weeks for you to get this product. If you order online for me, I make sure it goes out the next day or the same day. That's just how I am. Wholesale orders are different depending on the quantity, but it's just one of those things where I want my product to be made well and I want people to love what their pets are wearing because it's a part of them now. It's their fashion.
And there are so many dogs out there who love their fashion, right? I love it when people do the unboxings and then they put them on their dogs and the dogs are just like posing and they're holding their necks up and they just look like, oh, look at me. Look how fancy I am. It's so cute to see that. Fitz is not, I don't necessarily think that he's like a let me show off. I look so cute. He's more of it's a security thing for him. So I like to have options for him when I take off his collar, because he has one of those spy collars and I have to take it off to charge the battery on it occasionally. And so then he doesn't have his normal everyday collar on. So I like to have a collar or a necklace or something that I can put on him instead, because he freaks out when I take his collar off and he's like,
that's funny.
What is going on? Like, why are you doing that? Put that back on me. That's my necklace. So then I give him something different to put on. And then he kind of is like, oh, okay, this is fine. I like this. Put on your pretty necklace for a little while. And he's totally fine with it. Dogs are just, they're so silly. And I love it.
I mean, it's like Maple. She's been modeling for me since I rescued her when she was 2 months old. And every time I'm working in my office, she'll come to me and she'll start doing the little pity. I think most pitties do this, a little grunt type of moan. And she'll put her head on my lap. She thinks everything I make is for her. And when I say, okay, pick one, and I used to have a whole bunch of them, I'm like, which one do you want to wear? And her tail's all wagging and she's all excited. And she like puts her nose on one. I'm like, fine, let's put this one on. And she's all happy and she walks away. So if I put anything else on her, she hates it. So
I love it.
Bananas and everything, and she starts nipping at it. But a necklace, it's like, okay. Even when we're doing our photo shoots, she knows already. I have a handful of them. She'll follow me and she'll sit in place.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I mean, why wouldn't she think that they were all for her? Because of course, we've been putting them all on her up to this point. So immediately my brain would be like, oh, that's for me. That's for me. Mom's making something new. That's for me. That's so fun. So you only have silicone beads, or do you have other beads too?
So it was only silicone up until this last collection launch that I just did yesterday, the Dainty Collective. And that was a 27-piece collection that I did for my ambassadors. So I wanted them to design a collar representative of each one of their dogs, cats that they have, and it would be named after them. So we know it's an authentic piece representative of, let's say, Clover, who's a corgi, or Pepper, who's this real fashionista, sassy kitty. And it was really fun. It took a lot of work and I absolutely love it. So those, I decided to incorporate some acrylic beads. I did a lot of research, and the acrylic beads, they're not toxic to animals. I wouldn't use them if they were. They're just more shiny. And I knew people out there really love that. There's a huge market for it. And I don't want to miss out on what people are asking for, because I had even my ambassadors saying, do you have these shiny ones? And I'm just like, oh, okay. So over the holidays is when I decided to get a few of these in and see how they look. And I don't do them all acrylic. I actually mix them with the silicone and it looks really nice. So it's not just all shiny beads.
I just pulled it up so that I could look at them. And these are so cute. Cash's necklace colors are what I would say are Fitz's colors, the teal and the blue. And
okay.
I love that. Is so cute. Oh my gosh, these are all so cute.
Our new ambassadors to Dainty Paws, which I'm so excited about. We got 12 or 13 new ambassadors within the last month. So that was really exciting because I love having ambassadors. To me, there's no limit. You want to be an ambassador? Reach on out to me. And some of them I even reach out to and they're like, I don't meet the requirements. On my website, I have how to become one. And it says 1,000 followers on social media. And I'll tell them, don't worry about it. Within a month, you're probably going to be way over the requiremements. So I'm not even a stickler for that. I'm very easygoing.
I love that. I'm looking here so I can talk a little bit about some of these because you have some very unique things like the paw stone, the customized birthstone. That is adorable.
Those are new. Yep.
And now I'm looking at your vintage collection. Is so cute. And the glam collection, the Perfectly Loved collection, the neon brights. You just have some really unique, fun things. And oh my gosh, the glam collection is so cute. All of these pastel colors and pearls and these pearl hearts. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I had seen a lot of your stuff based on what Pippa had worn, but I'm going to tell this to the listeners right now. I don't try to do a whole bunch of research before I do these interviews because I want it to be revelatory for me too. I want to learn about the product as the listeners are learning about the product. I want to learn about you as I'm learning about you with the listeners, because I think it's more authentic and I think it's more genuine if you guys get my response to this is what's going on here. And then I'll start working with the business afterwards. That's usually how it goes. So by the time this episode comes out, I'm sure we'll have 2 or 3 of these necklaces on fits, because that's just how it goes. There are very few brands that I work with prior to recording their episodes. And most of those were just because when I started with the podcast, I had to start somewhere, right? I had to make connections and do all of the things. But I am pretty picky and choosy about who I have come on the podcast as far as small businesses, because I've been burned a couple of times by small businesses. Yeah. And I think that it's really important to have people come on here who are referred by other people, who have really strong integrity, also have really great business model, but also believe in their product. And you want this to be something that you can hand off to your kids. That to me says that your whole heart is invested in this. Mm-hmm. And it's not just about putting pretty necklaces on dogs. This is something that you want to build for your family's future, which to me just says everything I need to know. And I think that is so cool. So what do you think is the next thing? What's the next step for Dainty Paws? Do you have an idea?
I have a lot of goals. From last year to this year, I will say there was a huge improvement and we did very, very well. And I'm hoping to even double that this year when it comes to the amount of stores we're in. We're a little bit over 45. There's a lot of companies that do sell our product, but it's through drop shipping. So it's more online. And I don't really include those on my website because it's not a physical place to shop. I did go into one major retailer. It wasn't the best step for me. And I think when you talk to a lot of small businesses, even from someone like me who loves watching Shark Tank, and I wish I was on there so they can be mean to me. But a lot of them I've heard say it was the worst step they did when they went to a major retailer, because they do eat you alive. And I learned my lesson and I don't want to go there again. My focus is all the mom and pop retailers out there, because they do want unique handcrafted products that are well made that you can't find everywhere. And they're very successful. A lot of the retailers that I'm with are repeating orders all the time. It's not just a one-time order and that's it. And that warms my heart. Every time I see them put another order through, I get so happy because I'm like, they love Dainty Paws. Their customers love Dainty Paws. So this makes me so happy to know what I make with my hands is in stores. And it's hard to explain. I get goosebumps. It's exciting. But I hope by the end of this year, I'm getting closer to 80 stores, if not more. And I would love to hire help.
I can imagine you would.
I would love to be in a situation to where I have the ability to hire someone to help me when my mom comes from Canada once, twice a year. My gosh, it cuts my production time in half having her with me. And that's a huge difference when you're trying to get product out there quickly and orders are coming in all the time. And to be able to hire someone to do my social media, which a lot of us know is such a daunting task.
Yeah, it's not my favorite thing. That's for sure.
And there's a huge difference too when you're a business, let's say on social media, and you're just a creative posting for your dog, because there's that algorithm and you don't get the following that you would if you were an individual. It's very different. And I've tested it and I've seen the results in the exact same posts on the same platform, but like different accounts. And one had thousands and thousands of views, and then the other one just had a couple. And I'm like, okay, it's because this is a business page. So it's a lot of work. And to have someone that really understands social media and how to do all that stuff would be tremendous help.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time the last 6 months is just trying to learn social media and the strategy of how to post and how to present and all that kind of stuff. And it really is hard because I'm trying to grow the podcast as a business, but I'm also trying to grow virtual dog training. And so it's two very different mindsets. And yes, having a business page does restrict you on Instagram. It's crazy. That was something that I learned thankfully very early on. But it's also one of those things that's like, geez, you would think that they would try and help businesses, but it's a social platform, not a business platform. So it's all the, knowing all those little things, researching things on YouTube. It's me over there watching videos about social media on YouTube all the time. Like, okay, what do we need to learn this week? So I get it, but it would be a major, major help to have somebody who did know how to do that. And obviously extra hands always are good. So, because then you're making more product and you're able to get it out to more places. Do you have a preference for the kind of shops you're in? Like you said, mom and pop. Do you hope that to just get into any kind of shop that sells like miscellaneous little things or artsy craftsy things or pet only?
No, because I have a bit of mix. I have some stores in Vegas that are more of home products like furniture and things, but then they have a little section that's for pets. So they bought some of my products to put it in there with all of their products. When I say mom and pop, I just mean not big box, because big box, it's not easy. The one that I did get into, it took over a year and it wasn't even near the quantity that I thought it would be. It's not worth it in the long run for everything I had to invest. And I invested more than I got in return. Let's just say that.
It's really hard too with the big box stores, because especially if you want to stay as true and authentic to your mission and your quality and all that kind of stuff, you have to give a lot of that up when you move into the big box stores. And then that doesn't make your product unique anymore. And it takes away from your ability to be creative and put out these amazing, cool, different things, because they want you to fall into the line and fall into the rules, and these are your limitations. What if one week you're like, oh, I have this really great idea and I've come up with 17 necklaces and I want to release them. And then 2 months later, you have another amazing idea and you're able to come up with 15 more. You can release that right away. Right. You don't have to hold out on it. Whereas within a big box, they're going to want this every single however many, and you have to have X number of designs and all this stuff. And I think that that takes a lot of freedom and choice away from your business too, which is hard, right? I honestly, flat out, do not buy anything from big box stores except for Fitz's toys. Just because the toys that he likes, like his Kong toys, I can't get that from a small business. There isn't a small business that has recreated something that is similar to that. So we don't buy food from box stores. We don't buy treats from box stores. Nothing. Our lick mats, our slow feeders, anything like that, our homemade treats and stuff. If I don't make it, I buy it from somebody who does. Collars, leashes, everything comes from small businesses, because I think that especially right now when corporate America is kind of taking over everything, it's even harder to run a small business. And I want to support people who are really out there trying to run the game and trying to do their own thing and live their life and pay their bills because it's what they love to do, not because it's what they have to do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just so obsessed with everything that you have made. I don't know. I'm really honestly kind of glad I don't have a girl dog, because I think that I would be broke right now. If
I have some ambassadors. So one of them was not an ambassador. She was a customer, and I saw her orders come through all the time, and she would buy 8 at a time. 8 at a time, 8 at a time. And I was like, wow, I need to reach out to her. This is when I was still Loops and Stones. So she has a lot of my older product. And I reached out to her and I said, I would love for you to be in for Dainty Paws. It was like she was almost in tears. She's like, are you serious? I don't even have the following. I said, I don't care. You're my best customer. You're the person I want representing Dainty Paws. And yes, they're part of Dainty Paws now. And it's like I said, I'm a genuine person making these products, and I care about the people that are my ambassadors. People might think that's crazy because they're not getting paid. But honestly, my ambassadors get paid in products, because every time their codes are used, I have a track record of all the sales that are used that have their codes when people are buying things. And that goes towards them getting products, so they don't have to take out money out of their pocket. And these little giveaways and things that I do, I've told them over and over, if I could, I would hire them and they would have to move to Florida.
I just think that's so incredible. I love that. I love that you are including people that don't have the following, because there are a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that they get on social media for fun, right? They're not trying to post or sell or teach people or listen to this podcast that could help you with stuff or whatever. There's a lot of people out there that literally just get on to scroll. So to know that those people have just that equal opportunity to participate, I think that's just really incredible. So what do you think that your favorite thing about running your own business is?
Freedom is the big part, because I don't have someone telling me what I can and can't do coming from the retail world. I always, since I can remember, always wanted my own business. My mom was always an entrepreneur. She always had coffee shops or stuff like that when I was younger. My dad was a baker. My family's originally from Portugal. So he was a baker. And when I was little growing up in Toronto, he had his Portuguese bakery. And I just remember as a young kid playing in the basement, and he was upstairs in his bakery and having fresh bread and donuts and all these Portuguese pastries. So it's something that's always been in me. I just never knew what it was going to be. And it started a little bit later maybe than when I wanted it to, but you know what? It came at the perfect time, because being a stay-at-home mom, my life is crazy because of the twins, and they're boys and they're wild. But when they're at school, my life is Dainty Paws. And then in between doing all the mom stuff, and whoever's a mom understands it doesn't stop. And I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, Allie that passed away 2 years ago. And I have fish because kids wanted them, and look who has to take care of them now.
How it goes. That's how it goes. Gosh. Well, I love that. That's so cool. That's not actually something I've ever talked about, I don't think, on the podcast before. But when I was young, my parents had a restaurant. They had a diner. And I remember it was kind of a retros diner. It had the black and white checkered floor, and my mom made homemade pies. They had breakfast and lunch. They weren't open at dinner. And I remember the waitress that was there and her brown curly hair. But, you know, those are those really cool nostalgic moments from your childhood, and that it inspired you to create your own business going forward. And you know what? I feel like I had the same thing. The podcast, the dog training, it all started a little bit later in my life than I would have imagined or planned for that kind of thing to take root in my life. But I've learned that everything kind of takes place when it's supposed to happen, and everything happens in its own time. And I mean, look at how much you've done in just a few years. And I am so excited to see you grow and to continue to work with you and learn more about Dainty Paws and just share it with the world. So thank you so much for being here today. What would you like to leave the listeners with?
Don't forget to go check out our website, because it has the coolest styles from the tiniest little pets, like little chihuahuas that have 9-inch necks or even smaller. And I forgot to mention, I have done many things for bearded dragons. And that's something that is coming up. I won't say anything else within the next month.
That's awesome.
But definitely keep your pets stylish. I think that's important. Keep them stylish and just make them happy. And remember, they deserve to be treated just like we love to be treated and spoiled.
I think that's an excellent message. Thank you so much again for being here. And we will see you guys next week on Straight Up Dog Talk. Straight Up Dog Talk was created by Emily Breslin. It is edited and produced under the supervision of Straight Up Dog Talk, LLC, and Emily Breslin. If you're enjoying this podcast, follow or subscribe, and be sure you don't miss an episode. And leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Looking for more honest and relatable dog content? Check out our sister show, Unpacked, with Jerry Sheriff and Madison Simpson. Thanks for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk. See you next week.